Okay, let me just ask the same question so make sure we have it all on the same tape. Okay, just tell me again the whole story again. What 493rd has meant for you? I'm sorry.
Well, it's similar to the feeling that I had as I was growing up, and as I went to, well, I say first when I went to high school, we had 74 people in my senior class, and I've always felt sort of a closeness to them, and attend sometimes a reunion. The closest feeling I can relate it to is when my fraternity in college, and I remember I was a member of this fraternity for 4 years, lived in the fraternity house for 4 years. I had somewhat the same feeling of community or closeness with the 493rd, and possibly not exactly the same way, but I felt very close to them. I felt reliable, I felt safe with them, felt comfortable with them. And I have to say, and I think I was glad that I was with them. I was not really any offered an opportunity to be with anybody else because I was drafted, went to school, then was assigned to the 493rd. So, but it's that kind of association that it was I think we trusted each other, relied upon each other. When you said you would do this, you did that. They were the kind of people that I really I have not gone to the annual reunions as much because I felt like well, it was a long ways and it cost a lot of money. My wife she did not share my feelings. She had, as I say, she worked for the quartermaster at the Camp Barclay, and she had lived in Abilene all the time, and she had a dim view of soldiers, despite the fact that her 3 brothers were all soldiers. And she was never interested in them. But she didn't know the wives of any of them, so that was probably what it was. But I felt confident and safe and comfortable with them.
So did you get married to your wife when you got back to the States?
When we got back, yeah. When I can't, I had taken her, as I say, she had a dim view of soldiers, but anyway, and we got engaged before I left, and I borrowed the money and bought a big ring, and I took her up to meet my folks. But I don't know whether she thought I was coming back or whether I thought I questioned whether I'd ever be back. Mm-hmm. But come to find out, I was really never in any real danger except on that boat, or something like that, or being poisoned, or something like that. But anyway, I think we decided a long time ago, and my father really thought she was great. So, but when I came back, I wasn't making as much money as I needed to. But anyway, she said that'll be all right. And so we got married.
I kept you a long time, Matt. Do you have any other stories? I was going to ask you one more thing, yeah. Do you remember any practical jokes that you used to pull back then?
Well, I have to say that practical jokes are cruel. And the men, we always said boys, and they were over 21 then. They started at 75 now. There are lots of men that come into the Army that have never been away from home, and they're a great temptation for people to take advantage of them, and they do. I don't know that that's all bad, because you get used to people and you learn and stuff like that. But there are times, and there are some young men who have never been away from home, and you ship them to a place like Camp Campbell, Kentucky, which is in the middle of nowhere. It's a shock. So they're very gullible. A lot of times they are. Of course, they get over it. They learn it, and that's not all bad. You learn things like that. But by and large, and this is another good thing, by and large, because we were together so long, the 493rd Armored Field Battalion, were together so long that we developed a camaraderie, esprit de corps, of where even if I didn't like you, we could get along. Plus the fact that I learned to know some people that were totally different than I was, from education, background, nationality, that turned out to be real good. You take this fellow from Harvard, and he never did get over this idea that he was better than anybody else in the world. But I could accept that. He really had a good opinion of himself. But I think nearly everybody got where they could. Well, Haxel, that's the way he is. And so you develop an esprit de corps, or a comradeship, or and also, this is at that time in your life plan. See, I'm 22 to 26, and this is a time when you form associations and friendships and acquaintances that you would be doing anyway. Maybe not quite under quite circumstances, but this fellow Nick, he had a theory, and he really seriously proposed this, because he was good, that if we just get together in a business and work together like there's no telling what we can do. Well, that's partly right, although I don't think as civilians we'd ever work quite as well, because I think other differences would have come up, which in the Army didn't make any difference. But anyway, we did develop that kind of feeling towards each other, and even now I can't tell you percentages, but even say a certain number of our men and officers were married. Well, they developed a close relationship with their wives and everything when we moved from one town to another, which was really good, because they were really helpful to each other. But I really think, and this probably is true of every division or every unit that's like this, but I think we really had a good relationship. I would, of course, circumstances were such, I wouldn't want to go through those circumstances again, but circumstances were such that it caused us to think and to do things for each other. And well, my father was a great fellow for getting together with everybody. He had lots of friends. He associated with, he had several groups that he met with all the time, and he was a great mixer. But I think he always regretted that he had not gone to the Army in the place of his brother, because of the association, and he could realize that his boys all had, my brothers had the same kind of deal. In fact, my one brother, well, both of them were in the Navy, but the one who was on a landing craft, they developed the same kind of rapport on a ship, because they spent all their time together. And I think my father always, he would think, he was always talking to us about this. I think he kind of regretted that he had never had the same experience. But by the same token, I don't know that I'd want to do it again. Or, of course, I don't have any children, but I would want my children to do this. It has some good points, but you can also get killed. So,
Do you have anything else you want to add?
well, I do not regret any of my military experience. That doesn't say that I've been cold and hungry and wet and all that kind of stuff, and dangerous once in a while. But I do not regret it. And then I think that's bad. I know some people that are real critical, and they and I'm sorry they had the experience they did, but they hated it, hate everybody, and wouldn't want to do it again, and all that kind of stuff. And I feel sorry for them, because when you're, you know, even had I not gone into the Army, I would have hoped that I would have had some similar experiences, because after all, my college experience, my fraternity, my high school alumni association would, to some extent, taken the place of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at that age time, that's when you need to do those things. So those people who hated it, they missed something. God, maybe nobody vote that same way. But my wife even said that she thought I learned something in the Army.
Oh, that's good.
And of course, she had, as I say, 3 brothers that were in the Army, and she thought the same thing about them.
Mm-hmm.
But it is dangerous.
Okay. I think I have pumped you of every possible corner.
Well, I'm sorry that
No,
I get choked up sometimes. I think back, golly.